What's up, guys? Dark.Pch here. Decided to make a tutorial on how to play, Princess Peach. Some people might learn better based on a visual than me explaining it to them on the forums. Since I've been helping people with Peach for a few years now. So I decided, I'll probably help out people more if I made a video, to explain stuff, pros, cons, stuff like that. So, alright, let's get started here. Alright. The first thing you might want to get used to that makes Peach unique from the other characters in the game is her floating. She can float and attack. So you have options with that. Pretty much the way it's done, you jump and then you press down on the control stick at whatever height you want to float at. So, you got that, you got that, you got that, you got that. This is me just holding jump. I'm not pressing the stick, and that's the max height. So if you wanted to know the maximum distance, well, if you double jump, that's the max height. You got that. So okay. Once you get used to that, you have more options, such as, well, not more options. Well, yeah, I guess you could say that. Anyway, you can, do this. You can, do that. That. Pretty much, you want to get used to controlling the height that you want to float at. Based on the character that you're fighting. You can, like for Ike, if I float here, I'll invade most of his ground attacks while hitting him. You gotta like space it, I guess, if you want to call it like that. Space it. Most of the attacks you can avoid while dishing out your own. Good evasion and punishment tactic. So you got that. So just practice, getting the height that you want to get to, and then, you got that. Now, other uses for floating, I guess, let's see, bring your air game to the ground. Like your air attacks, you don't always have to, do it like that. You want to bring it to the ground, you have that, that option. So pretty much, for people that have trouble floating and doing attacks, there's two ways to do it. One, I hold the X button down while I'm pressing A. Well, I hold the X button down with my thumb and then I slide it to A. So, I can move around while doing that. You want to do it the easy way, you can just set L or R to jump. And just hold down and then press A or the control stick. The C stick. So you can do it that way. If you want, you can like do retreating fares. Just hold, L and down and then press C stick forward while moving back on the control stick. You got that. Done right is really hard to punish that. It's hard to punish it with most attacks or most approaches. Somebody wants to chase you, you need a space, you have that option. Got that. So yeah, floating is good for evading attacks while dishing out your own, and spacing your moves. Okay, so once you learn that, other uses of floating is for approaching. You can approach like that. You can, go in with theirs. If somebody sucks at smash the iron, you can just, you can do things like, you can do stuff like that. Ike is a little thin, so it's kind of hard to lock him. And people can jump out of it, so you gotta be careful. A tip for that, people want to jump out of it. Don't go for the third set of down airs. Just do like 2 of them at low percent, and then fall and do that. So with floating, floating also helps with combos. Extend them. So you got that. It connects. But you want to be more creative. You have a turn up, and you can do things like this. Supposed to jump so fair, but yeah. It's like one of my favorite things to do at like low percent. You gotta turn up, rack up damage. There you go. That's a little option there. Now, while doing this, and this is really good, there's some problems to it. Some habits that people have. First thing I would like to point out that the mentality of a good move, people tend to abuse it a lot and don't worry about the weaknesses of it. Like for instance, if I'm over here, my opponent's where Ike is, and I try to come in like this, people can see it. So what they can do is they can roll away, or they can do an aerial or even a ground attack that can hit her out of it. Because when you're floating, Peach from the waist up, let me zoom in here. Peach from the waist up, she's open. Even if I'm doing this, she is open from the waist up. So aerials, like let's say Mars, fair, when it goes like that, it's gonna hit me from the top. I'm open from the I'm open from right there, from the top all the way down to the waist. There is no hitbox there. My hurt box or whatever is right there. So you have to be really careful when approaching. Don't approach the same way like this all the time, or come in like this, because what people do is they'll roll away. Like, let me see if I got an example. Watch Ike. See that? How he's just getting away from me? You have to be careful. Don't approach the same way all the time. People can easily get away from you. Even though computer sucks at running, but there was a few examples of it. So yeah. Just keep that in mind. It's easy to hit you out of it, especially with a projectile. So be careful. Don't always do that. Don't always do this going in. Outside of that, also her floating is slow, so you're trying to chase somebody, like I said, they can easily get away from you, or they can just roll away, and you don't really have much options. So just be careful with that. The next thing I'll explain is being more technical with floating to give you more options. Like I said, her floating, it gives you options like this. You can bring your air game to the ground. So once you get used to that and you can throw out your moves quicker, as soon as she lands, you can do, whatever you want. So I'll give you an example. You can do things like this. Oops, don't do that. Yeah. Instead of the down smash, when I did there, I was trying to dash attack. So you have options to do things like that. I can't do it for some reason. Oh, break out. Yeah, you gotta time it. I'm like trying to do it too fast, so it's not. Wow, she's not running. What's going on? Alright, you get the idea. From when I try to down smash, I'm trying to dash attack forward, which it will connect. But I'm like doing it too fast, so I have to like pace myself. But yeah, you get the idea. You can do things like that, or you can do this. Oops. Gotta run a little further. What's he doing? You got stuff like that. Or you can grab from a back air. Oh, that tripping. There you go. Dash attack. Stuff like that. Peace. You know, you got that. So yeah, that's pretty much, you know, ways you can utilize your floating. If you want to be technical or, you know, cause more pressure, you can do things like that. You know, stuff like that. Just, you know, play around with it. You know, do it with, you know, whatever you want. You know, you pretty much have options. You have versatile options, so you can, you know, play around with stuff and, you know, have fun. Just, you know, you know, practice it. You can, like, even do things like that. Oh, I recommend, if you have a character that you can chain grab and you grab him at 0, don't do all that. Just chain grab him. You know, just do that. Do that, do that, do that, that. You know, stuff like that. But you find a character that you can't really chain grab, then just, you know, you have the pressure options. I don't know why I always mess that up. You know, you have peace, like, you know, you have that. So with that in mind, you know, you just have to be more, just, it's all about practice. Just practice all that stuff. Yeah, you know. Alright, so I'm gonna cut this video short. I'll make a floating tutorial part 2 with more advanced, you know, techs and gimmicks that you can practice and get used to. So, yeah.